CX teams spend endless cycles debating better journey maps. But after talking to Dan Sullivan from CHG Healthcare, one thing became obvious, right? The power isn't the map, it's how the organization moves around it. I mean, journey management, that's the whole point of the discipline, of the management approach. Sometimes it feels like I'm preaching to the choir, but let me tell you how this actually materializes. And I think Dan breaks it down so well. So I want to reflect on this in this video. And we'll break down why journey management is actually organizational design. This signals your company is ready or nowhere close. How CHG actually built a decision-making nervous system and what a customer experience leader can take from it. Customer experience, by the way, is in their case, user experience, it's marketing people, it's the customer experience function, it's the service design approach. Like all of those functions together are organizing around the journey. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Dan Sullivan is the director of journey management at CHG. And what looks like a set of journey maps, it's actually something different. It's a system that reshapes their decision-making, ownership, and prioritization across teams. And this conversation exposes a truth that most organizations miss or underappreciate and want to do better at. So they treat journeys as illustrations, boxes, arrows, stick figures, lovely workshops, bring it all together, look at it from the same way. This assumes clarity and creates alignment until it doesn't. And the CHG story makes this painfully clear. They already had customer focus. They already had strong data. They already had leadership buy-in to be customer-centric. And they still struggle with the cross-team coordination because no map, no matter how pretty, can overcome a system designed to work vertically. The silos prevail. The gap wasn't insight, it wasn't empathy, it wasn't tooling. It was how decisions are moved through the organization. So journey management didn't fix it by adding more detail or more complexity. It fixed it by changing the operating model that those decisions sit inside. So here's what Dan did. He and his team didn't build a set of maps. They thought of it as a schema. Every journey in their journey atlas, the journey framework that holds the structure, has the same lanes, has the same logic, has the same gating. It's the equivalent of a design system, but for how the company understands customers, work, metrics, and trade-offs. Team feed inputs, but they don't architect the system. Okay, the atlas became the backbone for example, Jira work, OKRs, 5-year goals, vision, usage data from Snowflake, customer feedback, and cross-team dependencies. It's not just documentation, it's the company's decision logic made visible. And most organizations wouldn't call their journey map an operating model. But that's what journey management at CHG is actually doing. And what I also like is Dan, who is obviously from Chicago, uses the Chicago transit map as a metaphor. Not because it's cute, but because it reveals the real job. In Chicago, if Fullerton Station goes down, the ripple hits the entire network. Same with Belmont. A few critical choke points coordinate the entire system. CHG uses the atlas the same way. It's not what happens in this journey phase. It's what does this decision break downstream? Or what happens upstream that needs to be or understandably impacts this at this point in time? What gets stalled? Who else depends on this? Journey management stops being about journey maps the moment you start seeing the organization as a network, not as a chart. And that's the shift that CHG made. To make sure everyone else was following along, they did something else, which I really love. And I was a little bit taken aback by that. It's like the museum, as Dan calls it. It's like, we have something like a museum, we're digital, we're AI, like why a museum? But here's what they did. They built an immersive experience, an exhibit they built from the ground up. That wasn't just cool, it was a controlled environment for interventions. It was a physical rewiring of the atlas of how 500 leaders see the business. Product managers standing together at a part of that museum. So they built the whole journey with an immersive experience going through the stages of the doctors and the patients that they ultimately serve. Product managers standing together, realizing they were solving the same problem in parallel, like product manager from team 1, product manager from team 2, at a particular intersection of the customer experience framework, talking to each other in person, realizing they were building a similar solution. Marketing teams seeing their work in context for the first time, executives understanding the end-to-end system. I mean, there were even people saying like, oh, I didn't know we even had an ad that was talking about this. And everyone was seeing the whole, not just their slice. Teams immediately lined up backlogs based on what they saw. It wasn't a journey walkthrough, right? That's what I love about this. It was an organizational reframing. And that couple of days was a live demonstration of how the system behaves when you finally put the whole picture in one place. It's not just architecture, it's change. One of Dan's most important decisions was locking down the architecture. Input is democratized, context is democratized, but the system itself is governed. Just like a design system in user experience design. Few maintain the structure, many consume the outputs. Everyone benefits from the consistency. And this is where customer experience teams usually collapse. They assume scaling means like letting everyone edit the journeys. It never works. CHG shows the opposite, okay? They have centralized governance and decentralized usage, horizontal decision-making, and that's org design. It's not just workshop activity. The telltale sign the system is working was when executives started to use the journey language. Okay, roadmaps that get shaped by cross-team opportunity statements, OKRs get rewritten based on customer signals, not just departmental preferences. And the shift from like my backlog to our choke points was a big one. Another signal that they saw is like journeys stopped being used to look backward. They became tools for looking at multi-year decisions in the future, right? They know that you cross the line from mapping to an operating model when those things start to materialize. So when the future is baked into the customer journey reality, and when it's also data rich, where it is near real time, giving an accurate picture of like the customer is experiencing, but also how our OKRs are progressing. If your journeys aren't shaping OKRs, roadmaps, and trade-offs across teams, you're not necessarily doing journey management. You're doing probably journey mapping, and you're helping teams to see things, but you're still like in declaration mode. CHG didn't adopt journeys. They redesigned how the company coordinates work horizontally, systematically, and around real customer impact. The map is the interface. The design is the system underneath it, which I really, really appreciate the way Dan has shared how he did it. So the next frontier for customer experience is not necessarily better journey maps. It's not data-infused journey maps. It is better organizational design around them. And CHG didn't stumble into the shift, they operationalized it. And that's what journey-led organizations are actually learning. Once you see journeys as an operating logic, not just artifacts, everything starts to move differently. So summarizing, what I think everyone should take away from the CHG case is that the schema at which they peg the atlas against, and that is like a very small group of people that has the capabilities of changing that, of managing that, is very strong. And that gives the flexibility for everyone to contribute with their data and their context, but the schema is set. So that's one thing. And they also enable the organization using that museum, as they call it, like the live immersive experience, to really understand what it means to be journey-centric. And that, just like that event, for those 500 people, was mind-changing. It was a mindset shift. And that is sometimes necessary to then all of a sudden have the room to do all the rest of the great work. And the last part is that it's not just data-infused journeys, it is understanding the choke points between them and using that as the language up with the executives, horizontally across teams to say, where should we focus on? If I do this, it will impact you. Can we work together?